My next guest is going to be headlining Flex Fight Series 22. That fight happens later on this month on April 22nd, and he joins me right now. He is Adam Bomb Livingston. Adam, welcome to my show, man. I've been meaning to talk to you for, I don't know, a couple years now, and I'm happy our schedules finally linked up and we're able to do this.
Yeah, man, excited to be here. I've been following you for a while now. Finally got a fight happening after a few mistakes been happening, fights falling through, but we're here. We're about 2 weeks out, ready to go.
So I wanted to let's pull away from the fight for a little bit, and I wanted to kind of talk more about where you are in life and just kind of MMA in general. So you're like this new hybrid guy, like you are like that generation of fighter that knows nothing but MMA. Like you grew up with MMA, and it's such a brand new sport, and it's people like you that are going to take this sport to levels that we haven't seen before. And I kind of wanted to ask you, not so much like what got you into it or blah, 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 because that's boring shit and I don't ask boring questions. But what I did want to ask you is why MMA for you? This is like a very difficult way to make a living. What is it about the sport that has you just like hooked in on it? Why MMA?
That's a good question. I gotta say MMA, like it found me, honestly, Uh, why MMA? One, I love challenging myself, and I don't think you could think of anything more challenging than being one of the best fighters in the world. And I'm like an alpha type of guy, and like I don't want to ever be somewhere thinking like someone like, oh, this guy could beat me up and stuff. And I was like, let's test this out, see if I can actually back it up and stuff. And it turns out I'm pretty damn good at it naturally. And then obviously to take it to the level I want to, just being talented and naturally good at it is not good enough at all. You definitely need to just put that work in. And that's what I've been doing since I was 15. And now I'm 21. So about 6 years of hard, consistent work. And you never get, like, you never learn it all. You're always getting better. And like, that's something I love doing. I love getting better every day. You'll never not get better if you just keep training. And yeah, I just like the challenge. And it's fun seeing these videos of you knocking people out, and people love fights.
Absolutely, they do. But it also is interesting. Like, I also have a rough idea, having talked to hundreds of you guys, about what this means. Like, we see you in the cage on one night for 15 minutes maximum, but what we don't see are the weight cuts. We don't see the sacrifice. We don't see all of the mundane and not so fun things that you have to do to make fight night a possibility. We don't see the sacrifice. We don't see the grind. And like you look at your friends that are 21, 22 years old, you're chasing girls, you're drinking beer, you're smoking weed, like that's a normal thing to do. You can do that, but not really if you're getting ready for a fight. And so like you're talking about sacrifice, you're talking about doing stuff and living a way that most people don't live. And at times, does that get kind of like lonely in a way?
You hit it right on the head, man. Honestly, especially my age, when you're getting a little older, it's like whoop-de-doo, everyone has their families and chilling out. But like, at my age, everyone's going out, having a good time. And I love to have a good time, like especially before fighting, or like before I didn't take it as serious. I went out all the time, had good partied, talking to girls all the time and stuff. But now that, I'm about to actually graduate college this May. A lot of people don't know that I go to Hofstra. I'm about to get my bachelor's degree. Now that I'm 21, I'm pro. After about to graduate college, it's either all or nothing. This is not a sport you could be half in, half out. So once I'm fully in, I'm fully in. I made up my mind let's say about 2 years ago that I'm going to be doing this. And after really just dedicating myself to it, you see drastic improvements. If you're half in, half out, you'll get better, but at a way slower rate than you would if you're fully in. And especially at my age, you definitely want to be fully in because, when you're like 25, 26, 27, 28, even if you didn't train as much, you do have a little bit of that edge on me because I am younger. You have that man strength, just you're denser, you're stronger, more mature. And a lot of other things that you just naturally get better at when you get older. So I'm definitely trying to beat the curve and get ahead of myself. So I can't be going out partying. I miss a lot of fun events, but it's really good for me mentally and physically. Like I'm able to have a good time without, drinking or smoking. And in the long run, it's all going to be worth it because I'd rather they say work like no like work like nobody now so you can live like nobody later. And that's my plan. This is a young man sport, so I could be retired by 30, 35, and my friends and everyone else, just are still like halfway through their 9 to 5, and they'll retire when they're 60. So
Define success for me in MMA. So, and when I say that, right, the easy answer is to say like, oh, I want all these belts. I want to be a UFC champion. Like, and that's all fine and well. But I feel like there's way more to this journey. There's way more to success. There's way more to like individual fulfillment. And that answer is different for everybody. And I guess the question I have for you is like, when you look back, when all of this is said and done, what does a successful MMA career look like to you?
success, I think, one, giving the fans what they want. Like, a lot of people think I could just like strike and stuff, but I train at Long Island MMA. We have some of the best grapplers, like I think in the country and stuff, that we have really good grappling. I could grapple my ass off. Like I could grapple these people no problem if I really wanted to, especially these last like 2 years. That's the biggest thing I focused on. But who wants to, no one wants to see that. Everyone wants to see the knockouts. That's why I go in there. And I think just getting good performances and winning, because at the end of the day, winning is the most important thing. You could be the most boring fighter in the world, but if you're winning, you're undeniable. It might take longer, people might not like you as much, but I think success is just winning and putting on a good show for the fans. Honestly, that's my success. And making a comfortable living off it. Because if you're just getting your ass beat and training all day and winning fights, and you still are poor or on the street, that's not success to me.
Completely understand. What I wanted to ask you is like your amateur career, very successful. You did very, very well. And you've been in this game for a little while. I know you only have one pro fight. You're 1-0 right now, but you also have like a full amateur career under your belt as well. And I wanted to ask you, like, when you look back on everything that you've learned between your amateur career, making your successful professional debut, if there's like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old high school kid who's looking to get into MMA and he's from Long Island or New York or whatever, and he sees you and he hits you up and he goes like, yo, like, what do I need to do to like start off on the right foot? Like, what would you say to some kid like that? This part of the podcast is brought to you by my friends at Uriah Faber's A1 Combat. Later on this month, on April 28th, there's going to be an amazing title fight that's going to be taking place between two really high-level guys. This is a card that I'm really excited about. A lot of really interesting fights between some of the top up and coming prospects on the West Coast. I highly recommend you guys check this out. It is going to be streaming on UFC Fight Pass, so make sure you check that out. And if you're in the Southern California area, why not just go to the fight? I am going to go ahead and in the description for this video include all the information on how to attend or watch this event. Make sure you guys check it out.
I'd say first, ask yourself, look in the mirror and ask yourself, do you really want to do this? Say first, step by step, find a really good gym in your neighborhood. Make not a crazy far commute for you, because you want to enjoy every aspect of training. If you have like most people hate work just because of the commute. Like imagine commuting an hour and a half in traffic all day. Like you're not going to want to train. So I find a good gym that's close by. First off, good people around you, and if you're going to do it, do it. You can't half-ass it. So you better find out real quick if you want to do this or not, and test yourself early, because you're better off. If you don't want to do it, it's fine quitting young. But if you're you're in your mid-20s now, you wasted a lot of time thinking you want to do this, but then you realize it's really not meant for you. It slows you down in life a little bit, and it's really discouraging. So I just say, if you really want it, you better find out real quick and give it everything you got, and just make sure there's good people around you. Because, every day I go to the gym, it's honestly the best. I have the best days of my life at the gym. My best friends there, best coaches, and it's what I love to do. So I'd say that honestly, those two things.
Professional debut, you make it, you live up to expectations, you do what everyone expects you to do. In the aftermath of that, there's been a lot of shit that's been going down. There's been like endless bout cancellations. I know you had one fight that was supposed to be lined up, and now that's not happening. And there's just been a series of shit that's happened ever since that first loss. And I kind of wanted to ask you, like, a lot of guys that are just kind of like at your level and just similar experiences in other part. Like what I hear time and time again is like, it's the matchups that are the most frustrating part about this. It's like, yeah, I'm ready. Like I'm gonna put myself through that 6 or 7 week camp, but then you get to that week 6 or 7, and then all of a sudden you find another guy, that something legitimately happens. They legitimately pick up an injury, or they just get ghosted. And I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, has that been something that's like brought you a lot of like frustration over the past few months? All these bout cancellations I see.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like in the beginning, like when I first started this, a big goal of mine was to really do this at a young age. And all these cancellations have been really postponing that. And that was like the big one of my personal goals. It's like I'm not trying to be a guy in the UFC like 25 years old. Like, a lot, even though it's still young, like my big goal, like I want to be in the UFC in the next year or two. I want to be like 22, maybe turning 23 and hit the ground running. Um, but yeah, like a lot of these cancellations, like especially in the moment, it's heartbreaking because like literally the last two were it wasn't like a week out, 2 weeks out, a few days out. It was the night before when I'm already on weight basically, and all that stuff is when the fights have been getting canceled the last two, which is the worst it could be. Some people sometimes could be a real excuse, sometimes it's not. At the end of the day, if you really want to fight, like you could show like unless your arms freaking like dangling off your body, like you could show up, man. Like I fought, a lot of people don't know this. I fought with a broken foot for my amateur title. I fought with a fractured wrist. One of my amateur fights, one of my first amateur fights, I fought with a pulled hamstring. I can go on and on, but I show up. Like it's part of the job. You're never gonna go into a fight 100%. But yeah, a lot of these guys. And another thing, like in the beginning, the 1-0, 0-0 type of people, it's a lot of these guys don't want to take these matchups because they don't want to lose their O right away. Like a lot of like my pro debut was against a bum. Everyone knows that he was he was a shitty fighter. And the only reason he wasn't my first option, he was the fifth guy they offered in like 2 weeks leading up to the fight. My first opponent I think was like 0-2 or 1-0, something like that. Supposed to be a good matchup. Pulled out. Next guy signed the contract, pulled out. Next guy signed the contract. Another week goes by, then he pulled out. And I'm a company man. Like I know, and this is the pro debut flex fights. I spend a lot of money to like make these events happen. And it's either I take this fight and like keep and sell all those tickets that I sold and help them out, or I don't, and then I don't even fight at all, and the whole event gets ruined. So a lot of people give me shit for even fighting that guy, but at the end of the day, I had to do what I had to do. I did what I had to do, and all these other guys are unprofessionals. So
And
it's everyone's time. They're gonna get it eventually.
and you know what? Respect to the man who made the walk and he showed up. His record may not be there, but he actually showed up, and um, I think there's respect in that because this is a game where not everyone is willing to do that. So hey, it worked out for everybody. You did what you needed to do. So now here we are. We're getting ready to fight another guy, Christian Acerbo. I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I would like to get your opinion on this guy.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to just tell me like what is it that you see like when I'm sure you studied this guy. I'm not going to ask you about your game plan, but just talk to me about this guy. Like what are some things about his game that like show up in your eyes, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing? What do you see?
Yeah, this guy is like he's been around the block a few times. He had a pretty lengthy amateur career. He actually called me out and wanted to fight me, and I had no plans on ever fighting this guy. Especially, he usually fights, I think, at 145, so he's coming up a weight class. He's he's just the biggest reason we took this fight is because again, this guy actually shows up to fights. I'll give credit where it's due. He's personally, he's not the best fighter. He's, a little sloppy, reckless. He does some brawling and goes for takedowns. He's an exciting fighter for sure, but the only reason we took this fight is because we just wanted someone that will actually show up. I can't waste another camp and not fight. My pro debut was about 7 months ago, and I've had three camps back to back, nonstop training since then. So I feel bad for Christian Acerbo because he's getting the best version of me ever. These last 7 months, I had not one day, like obviously my rest days and stuff, but I had full pedal foot on the gas, and I just leveled up tremendously. So yeah, I'm not really focusing too much on what he could do because at the end of the day, these guys at this level, I respect them and all, but I know I'm just levels above these guys. Just I work way too hard compared to a lot of them, and I'm blessed to be able to like I don't have a 9 to 5 where I have to worry about work. I go to college and I train. That's it. That's all I got to do, and which really gives me a benefit. My goal is just training on the guys that are top in the UFC because those are the guys I'm training for. I'm not training for these regional guys because that's a side effect of my training is beating those guys to get to the guys in the UFC.
One final question. I know you're a ticket seller. I know that there's going to be a lot of people from your area that are showing up on the night of the 22nd to watch you perform. What do you want all your supporters to know as you're getting ready to walk in the cage to fight this guy? What do you want them to know?
Just know I've been sacrificing, really putting the work in every single day, especially my close friends and family know how hard I work. I know from the outside, a lot of people look at me as this pretty boy, whatever, privilege, whatever, everything's handed, give it to them. You can think that all you want. Just know I put in the work, and you guys are going to see it time and time again every time I step in the cage, and it's only up from here. I'm only 21, so every time you're going to see me, I improve drastically. And I always put on an exciting fight. So if you're going to bet in the crowd, you know where to put your money on and try to give me a cut of that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give you the final word, sir. If there's anyone that you need to thank or any teammates or sponsors you need to talk about, I want to give you that opportunity before I let you go.
Yeah. First off, thank you for, giving me a platform to talk and stuff. I don't do too many of these. But yeah, thanks to my team, coaches, the usual. They know, who you are. You know who I are close to me. But yeah, definitely my family, they push me, and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to the man upstairs. And I hope everyone had a good Easter, but yeah, I'm just excited to put on a show.
Perfect. Well, Adam, I appreciate you spending your time with me. I'm kind of an asshole for asking you to do this close to the fight, but I wanted to get you in. I appreciate your time today, man. We'll do it again real soon.
Let's go. Thank you, man.